So, Ohad, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good today.
When I first looked into your profile, the one thing that struck me is Technion. So, love to meet with Technion people all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good place. Yeah, it's been 20 years ago. I think I graduated 2002.
2002.
Yeah.
Wow.
I never talked about it. No one previously asked me about it, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, this is the MIT of Israel. So,
Exactly. That's what we
yeah,
think, or some of them think.
right,
Would
right.
like to be.
And it is. I think what I realized after moving out of the Technion is that, wow, they really have a lot of things going on in there that I
Mhm.
don't find in other universities.
Yeah.
I've been to Hebrew University. I went to the classes in Tel Aviv. So yeah, it's really the Technion ethos where you just get hands-on and build things, even from the first year. So I love it so much. And
Yeah.
we ended up with amazing founders and CEOs like you who really put that into practice.
Absolutely.
So, Ohad, before we go into your startups, your ventures, and also ThinkUp Global, which is amazing, I have a lot of questions on that. What is young Ohad like? What is your childhood? What's your background? A bit about yourself.
I grew up in Netanya, which is a bit north of here, of Herzliya. Standard childhood, very relaxed, focused on studies, math, physics, chemistry. I also had a hobby, good hobby, tennis. I was a tennis player, semi-professional. And I came from a background of my family was into buildings, real estate, construction. The grandfather generation. And my father was a dentist, my mom a teacher. So it was a very kind of academic-oriented house, I think. That's my childhood.
That's very interesting. My sister is a dentist.
Yeah?
And my dad is also developed buildings, like building things, not on the real estate side buying, but
Yeah.
building. So interesting
Yeah.
that's similar.
I never understood why people are afraid of dentists.
What do you think that is?
Maybe today I'm a bit more knowledgeable, but
So why did you, before we go on to your
Yeah.
ventures, I want to understand your early path. So you decided to go to Technion. First of all, why do you decide to make that decision?
well, first of all, in the army, I traveled a bit from different places. I didn't have a clear direction. And then someone recommended Mamram, that's Israel Computer Center. And I didn't know about programming, but I did decide to go into computer operations. When you have mainframes, the big mainframes, someone needs to operate them. So I took that course in the army. I served in 8200 as a computer operator. Then I, discovered the software, and it was quite clear to me that I'm going to continue to the Technion, which used to be, or maybe still is, the best place for technology in Israel. I think it was more in terms of prestige and profession, and that was very clear to me, very natural to continue there.
What was it like being in Shimon HaMatzah? Is there some selection that they make for you, or is it a decision you have for yourself also to choose which path in the military?
25 years ago, it didn't have the brand it has today. And there was nothing unusual or interesting about it. I wasn't aware of that. I think it was close to home. Maybe that was the main issue. And it's a great environment. It's a great environment, the best people, and interesting stuff. I think that's mainly what I can say. And now I'm trying to get back there and help them with innovation. Let's see if we can make some more impact there.
What would you say was the biggest influence of the military? And it's unique in Israel that they're gonna go to this mandatory service, and we don't have that in other countries. We see people become more mature. We see people become better leaders. What do you think was the influence on your life?
Yeah, I think in terms of getting out of the relaxed atmosphere of the childhood. Suddenly, not everything is catered for you. Not everything is tailored for you. You don't get what you want. You're asking for stuff and you don't get it immediately. And you need to adapt. You need to think. You need usually on your own. And you need to improvise and find the ways to get what you need and what you want, and to find your position that suits you, working with people that sometimes are not your cup of tea. And, it's funny because my older son is 16 and a half. He's just starting his recruitment process. And I sat with him and gave him some advices. be friendly with everyone, give them the respect they need. People that you might not like, but you still need to be friends with them. They control your destiny, your path. So you learn to be socialized also with people that are not your first circle you used to.
And would you say that translated very well to business?
Yeah. In business, I'm a great believer in networking. And there's something that you can't just buy. And networking and socializing with people, exchanging ideas, brainstorming together, that's great. So I think maybe in the army, that's when you start with it. Yeah, connecting. Yeah.
Amazing. Now we're going to go into ThinkUp. Okay. What was the founding? What was the inspiration? And what was the story like in the beginning?
So it started out actually from the previous startup, Things, which is in the IoT, as we discussed earlier. We had a great vision, but we didn't know where to start. Who's the customer? Who's going to pay for it? What's the use case? What's the vertical? And we kept exploring different verticals in the IoT. Smart homes, smart cities, logistics, transportations. And every time we had to do market research. We had to understand what are the problems in that domain, what the solutions that we can bring. And we had to validate that with domain experts in that domain. And the process was it was hard, it was long. And I thought, why isn't there a platform, a software, a digital platform to help me accelerate the process and ease the process? That's where the inspiration came to ThinkUp.
A digital accelerator, that's how you put it.
Yeah, that's a good term. Yeah.
So what about things and ThinkUp? What was the percentage of time you spent on both? Which one is more of your priority?
Good question. So, at a certain point, I understood that I cannot, manage two startups. So I brought another for things. And today I'm focused solely on ThinkUp. So things, I'm just a chairman there, once every couple of weeks. I help and I meet the CEO there just once every now and then. It's 95% of my time is ThinkUp.
Got it. And what do you say was the early challenges in building ThinkUp?
Okay, it's a long list. Well, first of all, looking back, it's the people that you choose, the partners, the founders, and their expertise, their experience. ThinkUp is a product-led company. It's product-oriented. It's not it's not algorithm, deep tech. It's not hardware. It's not life science. It's a product and user experience. And since I don't have much of the required knowledge and the background, I'm not a product manager. I think I've chosen initially a product manager to be my co-founder or my first employee or my first consultant. That would have given me the good focus, because the team that I assembled wasn't very focused. And we tried to do too many things at once, building a SaaS platform and a network. And it's too much. So it's about choosing the right people with the experience. It's about focus, your product strategy, your focus. You don't have too many resources. Yeah, I think that was the main challenges.
I would love to hear your thought on forming the initial team of a company, because I would believe you would agree that it's crucial for the company to have the early core team. And I was talking to Elad Ophir, CEO of Healthy, also an Israeli startup, and just this morning, and he said that, building a business is like a relationship. Business is not about money, it's about relationship. And especially in startups or businesses which relies a lot on community or building a hub, what would you say was the requirements of the people who are going to be in the beginning, a core team?
Well, it's people with passion, with vision, not the skeptic kind, because there's a lot of unknowns. People that are skeptics, that are not visionary, will kind of hold you back. So you want those skeptics on some level. They will ask the difficult questions that you should not ignore. That's good just to some extent. At some point, you have to say, okay, I don't have all the answers. Yeah, it could go wrong, but we have to continue. So you need people that have some degree optimism, resilience and optimism. You can tell very quickly who is optimistic by nature, who is pessimistic, and who can you brainstorm with. Who, when you dialogue with them, when you talk to them, when the outcome is better than yourself alone. 1 + 1 = 3. And that's where you want to go. People that takes you further down the road, moving forward, not holding you back.
Amazing. So ThinkUp is a community more than just, a SaaS platform. How do you build a community, Ohad?
So, at the beginning, that's what we try to do. I'm going to try to do it later on. It's a difficult question. That's what I'm not trying to do, both things at once. I'm focused on the SaaS platform. You need to bring on the people that has experience building the community. You need to, you don't know everything as a founder. You need the help of the founding team. We were looking for a head of community, head of network, someone who's already done that before. It's a different skill set than what I have. It's even a bigger connector, than what we just talked about, just having coffee once in a while with other people. It's someone that is deeply rooted in the DNA of community building. They have methodologies, they have their operations, and I think I don't have all the answers yet, but once I do, I will let you know.
Amazing. But you do know how to build a team. You've built things and you have finally let go of some responsibilities. And I would like to also hear about that, because as an entrepreneur, people progresses from role to role and things change. So that's my question for later. But for now, about building the core team, I would like to get back into that, because our listeners mostly are entrepreneurs and they would be required to build a team. They will need to form a strong group in the beginning. So I think it will be very beneficial to them. And how do you find a co-founder? I think this is a question that a lot of people would like to know, especially if they come from different backgrounds, one a business background and one from a technical background. But since you are a technical person, so I'm studying computer science here, let's discuss about from a technical perspective. How do technical people find co-founders?
Well, there are a few points that you raised. First of all, I studied at Technion, but I was a programmer just for 3 years later. Then I joined my father, so I moved into the investment world very quickly. And I don't consider myself today as my core is not technical. I do sit down with my programmers, my R&D teams. I speak the language, I know what they're doing, but I'm more of a product, visionary, and business guy. I need the technical co-founder. I need it. I don't assume that role today. Now, there are two things that I can say. First of all, we keep mentioning the term team, in early stage. And I think that it's crucial to have an HR manager very early on in the process. As a consultant, part-time, he or she can guide you in building the right team. Okay, don't do it alone. It's a skill, okay? It's a skill. Building the platform itself, it's a skill. Building the product, designing the product, it's a skill. Designing the user experience, it's a skill. Everything has a skill. Also, hiring people. It's not just, drinking coffee and he or she are a good fit. And as you said, it's a team. So everyone needs to work together. It's 5 or 10 people that need to work together. They need to complement each other. You're building a DNA. People need to fit into your DNA, into the group's DNA. So it's also a skill. I recommend, having a part-time HR manager right from the beginning. Even when you're looking for co-founders, he or she can help you do that. That's the foundations. Now, finding a co-founder, well, in terms of, I have, 2 different experience to tell you from. In things, I knew someone, a professor, that we ideate together, and he was my co-founder, so it's someone I knew for 10, 15 years. That's where I started. And then when I wanted to get that vision into practice, I gathered around 15 friends and colleagues from the industry, from the high tech, in order to make that vision something more concrete, finding the use cases and the customers, etc. So that began a process of meeting every few weeks, every month with that group of 15 people. And over time, you can see who is more committed, who is passionate about it, who will bring value. So over time, the group narrows down. And the people that don't give any value, that are not committed, just naturally get out of the loop. And finally, after a few months, you're left with 2-3 people that are the most passionate and give you the most value. That's where you find your co-founders. That's how I did it in Things. And one of them is the CEO of the company today. In ThinkUp, I wasn't looking initially for co-founders. I was looking for service providers to help me get that vision that I had in my head into wireframes, user experience, product. Once we started working together and there was a great chemistry and they were very passionate, they wanted to join as co-founders. So the first, 2-3 months of working together, that's if you have some kind of compensation mechanism, that's the best way to test it, to understand, is it a good fit or not. So I think, first of all, you're looking for something that you lack as a founder. What are you lacking? You're lacking the product experience, the technical experience, the marketing experience. That's what you start looking. Find someone, maybe could be a service provider, go to that community, start working with someone, on a partial basis and see where that moves on, Does it become a partnership or just temporary collaboration?
So start with your Thinks strategy. It's very interesting because you start with more people and you just hone down to the core who are actually serious. Yeah. It's very similar with Facebook, actually. They have a bunch of college student roommates who just worked on the project together. Yeah. And then in the end, it's just Mark and some very serious people working on it. And another different strategy from a different world, YC, which is a prominent accelerator, people heard about it. They suggested that people should start small and then grow it big. So this is two separate strategies that I think can work in different ways. And it's very interesting to hear also a method, because I think most people only start small and then grow one by one, but it's very slow probably because they don't get to meet people often and they don't get the early help that they need because they grow very slowly.
Yeah, I work in a different way than most people. When I have a question, when I want to brainstorm with someone, I usually ask as many people as possible. It doesn't confuse me. It helps me. I get different point of view from 10, 20, 30 different people. And then I believe that I cover the topic. There's no other, good solution. And then I find the people that I want to work with, time after time. That's my method of doing things.
I would like to say that I follow the same path. When I have an idea, just speak to a bunch of people, see what their opinions are. And you don't have to just accept everyone's opinion. You take it as input, you build it up, and you get a deeper understanding of what you're working on by hearing other people's perspectives. So that's amazing. Now we've spoken about how to form a team, how to find the right co-founders. How does ThinkUp help people, entrepreneurs, in the beginning of their journey as entrepreneurs?
Well, we're trying to map the entrepreneurial journey from ideation up to market validation and founding the company and early market penetration. We're trying to map the journey and split it into different topics or modules, and then sub-modules, topics, sections, and up to small bites, tasks and items that the entrepreneur needs to complete. So the entrepreneur gets a map of everything he or she needs to do. It could be starting from a market research, what's your TAM, your SAM, your CAGR, customer analysis, customer discovery. Who are your customers? Who are the decision makers? What are they trying to do? What are the pain points? And then you move on to competitive analysis, business model, pricing, go-to-market, all the usual stuff. And in each step and each topic, you get tasks and you are guided in what you need to do. You get some data from AI engines in the background, and it gives you a clearer path on how to construct your startup. And it's based on methodologies, so there's a higher chance that what you're doing is right. You're doing things in the right way. So you have higher chances of succeeding, lower chances of failure. And even if you're not doing something right and you need to change it or pivot, we show it to you very early on in the process. So you make adjustments. Okay, you don't have all the answers in day one, but you make the changes and adjustments very quickly. You don't waste 1 year of your life and your money chasing a market that doesn't exist or building a solution that no one wants. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's kind of a step-by-step guide, and you can create the actual deliverables and outputs. It's not just about learning, it's about doing. It's about creating your market analysis, creating your customer persona, creating your competitive analysis, creating your go-to-market strategy, creating all of those elements, and then you get a picture of your startup. You start building your startup foundations. And also all of your outputs, all of the things that you've done on the platform, you will be able and recommended to share with domain experts, mentors, that community that we talked about before, in order for them to validate your work. Are you on the right track? Are these really your competitors? Is this really the pain of your customers? Is this your market size? Is this your market segment? So we're trying, it's not just about the platform and the AI, it's also about human help, the network of people validating your work. So it's about work and validate. And then the chances that what you're doing is right and you're building a successful startup, the chances are higher. Yeah.
I fully appreciate the fact that someone is doing this and mapping the journey of entrepreneurship, because unlike other career paths where it's a good playing field, I think entrepreneurship is like a wicked playing field. There's no rules, there's no nothing. It's very unorthodox. By definition, entrepreneurship is trying to build something new.
Yeah.
And we're carving our own path. Yeah. How do you balance that with trying to build, I'm not sure if this is the correct term, but like a structure of a path to create this journey?
Well, yeah. You're building something new, but there are still methodologies and best practices on how to do it. Still, it doesn't matter if you're in fintech, cyber, or HR tech, you still need to analyze your customers. There are still end users and decision makers. Are you B2B, you You B2C? The characteristics of your end users, the pain points, what are they trying to achieve? What are their ambitions? It doesn't matter, in every domain. Whatever you're building, you need to understand your market size, the trends. Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Is it big enough? Who are your competitors? Okay, comparing yourself and your solution to your competitors, it's a best practice that everyone needs to do. And it's usually kind of the same. So the content might be different, but the methodology is usually pretty much the same. And but you're right. We still need to prove that we can cater for thousands, tens of thousands, and millions of entrepreneurs around the world in different segments. So in hardware, you might have a few different things. In software, life science, yes, a few different things. Crypto, maybe regulations. We're hoping that we can cover, 80, 90% of their needs, in one structured way.
As someone who have seen and mentored and helped grow a lot of startups in the beginning, what would you say was early mistakes people make in the beginning of their journey?
The most difficult things for all of us is customer discovery. People, fall in love in the problem, in their own solution, in their own pain. It's the easiest, to go and build something. Customer discovery, that's the trickiest, the hardest. Finding your customers, first of all, understanding it's very important. Then finding your potential customers, knowing what to ask, knowing how to analyze their answers. And it's very difficult to hear from people that your idea is not good enough. There's no need. So lots of people don't do it. So if you don't do your customer discovery early on in the process, if you don't do it good enough, wide enough, with as many people as possible, you might end up developing something that doesn't have the product market fit. You will have a few customers, but not the hyper growth that you're looking for. So number one problem is customer discovery.
I think that's something a lot of technical founders can relate. They know how to build things, and they like to build things just out of the pure joy of creating something and showing it to their friends. But then when they realize they want to build a startup, they just start building and they don't talk to people. And again, business is about the people. Technology is the means, right? And they forget that part, to talk to people and actually find, who am I trying to help, right? I just want to build. I don't want to talk to people. No, you can't do that. You got to talk to people, right? So there's this term in Y Combinator, they say SISP, solution in search of a problem. So people are starting with the solution. They build something, a technology, something. But what is it good for? I don't know.
Yeah. So I think that was maybe the common methodology 20, 30 years ago, at least in Israel. People like building stuff, great technologies. Now, who's the customer? But I think most people, at least the most experienced one, know that that's not the right way to do. First of all, go and look for the pain and then try to build a solution.
You mentioned in ThinkUp you have this AI. How is AI integrated in ThinkUp and how is it used to help entrepreneurs?
So we're gathering the initial input from the users. What's the problem they're addressing? What's the solution that they're thinking of? And in each and every item, we generate a prompt in the back end in runtime. We generate the prompt, the relevant prompt with personalized content, and we query the different Gen AI engines, and we present to the user some suggestions. Okay, if I'm trying to build some cybersecurity solution for organizations, when I'm presented with the questions, who are my end users? Who are the decision makers? Our platform will show you a few suggestions. Maybe it's the CTO, maybe it's the CISO, maybe it's a product manager, maybe it's the CEO, and also, give you some suggestions about the market segment that you're in. Are you into, phishing prevention, network security, and we'll give you some market reports, recommendations, what to look for the data. What's your TAM? What's your KGAR? So it's a lot about suggestions. Every task and every item, almost, what are the first suggestions that are personalized to you? And you can type in your own answers, but you get a good feel of what you can do or you should do with the suggestions presented to you. And sometimes you get the answer, straight away. That's my answer. We see entrepreneurs say, yeah, I agree with all the suggestions. Let's choose all of them.
AI is a big thing everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's cool that you're using it in your platform. How do you see in the future as AI develop further and further? We've seen software engineers, fully AI, AI software engineers. We have seen AI designers building things. How do you see in the future a human working with AI to build companies?
4 years ago, my initial vision, I wanted to call the company We Think, because I said 4 years ago, and I didn't know about Gen AI. And I said 4 years ago, we're sitting at WeWork, all of us or lots of people, we're sitting in the rooms, in the meeting rooms, and we build stuff. We go each one to his seat, and then we build stuff. We're working. And I said 10, 20 years from now, we're not going to be working. We're going to be sitting, brainstorming, and someone else is going to do the work. We're just going to think, what's the problem, what's the solution? We're just going to hit enter, and someone else, obviously the AI, is going to do the rest for us. And I told that to my co-founders, 3-4 years ago, and they were laughing. It sounded a bit out of context, but I think, slowly we're going to get there. And I'm not sure it's just a good thing, but, 6-8 months ago, when it was just in the beginning, I thought maybe 5-6 years from now, we're going to start seeing solopreneurs, people that create those startups and they don't have any employees, at least for the first year or two. And then someone got on the stage at some convention and he said, I've got a company with 8 employees, all of them are bots. So it's going to take a while, but I think that's a good probability that we're going to see lots of those.
Very interesting. In general, AI is going to develop into all fields. So it's going to really elevate the work and productivity of all fields, not just entrepreneurship. So how do you see in general human and AI collaboration will be in the future? Since if they make all the decisions, then where do we go, right? Humans still have to be in the helm. What do you think?
I'm not sure. For the next 5, 10, 15 years, it's going to elevate us. Each one of us can do 10 times more, 100 times, or who knows, maybe more. Yeah, it's going to elevate each and every one of us, and we're all going to be on a new playing field, but it's going to be the same. It's like, I have Google, you have Google, I'm not faster than you. We're all going to have AI. So it's going to turn everything into much more powerful, faster. But at some point, every manager will have the choice. Is he taking on board hiring a new employee, or does he have a new tool to accomplish most of the tasks of that employee? Like, for example, microcopy, UX writer. The text that you see inside the product, the questions that users and the guidance that users are requested. It used to be a position, a profession, a full-time, and I'm challenging my people. I'm telling them, I don't see any reason to hire a full-time person in that, you can do that. The product manager or some other people in the group, they can do that themselves. They're not going to hire. So there you go. One job description down. So I don't know what that's going to take us.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think it's also important. This is why I'm inviting a lot of entrepreneurs and people with experience to the show. Why? Because a lot of the future technologies will be built by people who are listening to audios like this.
Yes.
This is why we need to really get them in the right path and understand how to do things right. Now, talking about how to do things right, not just in the sense of business, but in life and living. A lot of founders have very unique personal philosophies, because in order to do the things that they do, you kind of have to be different than most people and to be exceptional. There's this quote, in order to be exceptional, you have to be the exception. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I think in some terms, some entrepreneurs want to, be exceptional, be extraordinary, gain the respect, be acknowledged. That's what drives us at the end of the day. Being acknowledged of someone who changed the world, who made something exceptional. That what drives me, in two of those startups. And you have to be resilient and you have to be very focused. It's a top priority in your life. It's not just working, in the bank 9 to 5. It's about exceptional people. Yes, it's a vision. It's resilience. It's about working hard, focused, being very professional, and leading teams, leading complex systems. And all of this while you've got many a lot of headwind. Lots of people telling you it's not going to succeed. Lots of no from customers, from investors. Yeah, it's being exceptional.
How do you build that grit? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they have the skill, they have the brains, they have the network. Yeah. But one thing they might miss is persistence. You just keep going. How do you build that?
First of all, I've got the financial resources. So I'm saying as long as I've got the financial resources, there's no reason to stop. It's just part of you. You don't want to get back just to work in some corporate, or you've got your passion. It's like one of your kids. It's like a baby. An idea that you have, it's something emotional. It's not just a job. You can't quit. It's out of the question.
You mentioned about leadership, and that's obviously very important in a company. How do you manage people? What is your leadership style?
Very collaborative. People in my company know that the culture is that everyone can speak up. I like learning from everyone, listening. It's not my opinion that counts. It's only my opinion, only in rare cases. It's a group discussion. Everyone is welcomed. It's about delegating tasks. That's very important. They should do it. Everything that an employee can do, he or she should do it, not me. I'm there to guide, to help if it's needed, but it's their responsibility and it's their task. So it's about delegating. It's about being open to their ideas, to their thoughts. And it's also about being transparent. As much as I want them to be transparent with me, they should tell me about their work. I need to be transparent. So I need to report to them as well. It's about monthly meetings. It's about my day-to-day, sometimes tasks or actions. For example, if I'm coming today to this interview, I'm going to tell them I'm going. This is my schedule. I've been there. We've talked about things. I'm going to share it. So I need to be transparent of the people that I talk to, the things that I do, my failures, the things that I'm struggling with to some extent, and the successes. And the plans, the future plans. This is the company's roadmap. This is what we are planning. This is what we know. This is what we don't know. So it's about being transparent with my employees. That creates trust.
How do you learn to delegate? A lot of early founders, they're passionate about what they're building, about the problem, about the customers. But soon, when they have to grow, they can't do everything themselves. Yeah. They have to start delegating and letting them do most of the work, and you will do the decisions and the work that nobody can. Yeah. How do you learn to delegate?
Well, it's not scalable if you do all the work. When I started as an investor, I didn't like that trait in entrepreneurs that they are very centralized. Everything goes for them. They need to know everything, micromanagement, things like that. And I promised to myself that when I'm going to be an entrepreneur, CEO, I'm not going to be like that. And I think that I'm succeeding. So I had a bad role model. When I invested, I know, and I tried to do the opposite. Someone told me, a director in one of my companies 10 years ago said that there is a motto. It might sound a bit harsh, but the motto says, It's a business, it's a managerial motto. Every task in the organization should be done by the lowest ranking employee that can do it. Every task should be done by the lowest, the most junior employee that can do it. That's the motto. And that's what I follow. Everything that an employee can do, he or she should do it. I'm not getting involved. It's only if I have to, if something goes wrong, if they want my help. But me as CEO, I've got my tasks. The weekly meetings, getting reports from my employees, my senior employees. I need to build the strategy, the vision, fundraising, hire the team maybe. But all the rest, other people should do it. So that's how I try to do it. There's not much more than that to learn, but always think, can they do it? If yes, they should do it, not you.
Amazing. Let's now talk about the world, right? Let's talk about what's going on out there. We spoke a bit about how AI develops and how it's going to impact business and startups and how we run things. Let's talk also about, of course, we're in Israel right now, and it's a difficult time, especially for founders also. How do you see it impacting the war, impacting the Israeli economy and entrepreneurship? How does it change and what people need to pay attention to?
I think lots of things will change. I'm not sure it's going to be temporary. It's going to be more difficult, the atmosphere here, for a longer period of time. And we see it in our efforts, in things, for example, abroad with customers. How do they perceive us? And sometimes you have to build another layer for your company, external layer, for presentations, to be less Israeli oriented, more European oriented, something like that, to detach you from the situation, prejudice, and all of that issues. So entrepreneurs going to need to pay more attention to that. There's the issue of reverse merger. Where do you incorporate your company?
What is a reverse merger?
Reverse merger is if you've already incorporated your company here in Israel and you want to turn it into a US entity or a European entity. Because investors want that, because management moved abroad, because customers are more concerned. So there's a legal process to turn your company into a foreign company. You can either create a foreign subsidiary. So you have all of that questions and challenges with investors and customers. And in terms of the talent here, the time that they have, if they have to go on reserve duty for a longer period of time, how do you manage that? Fortunately for me, in both of the companies, I don't have that. None of my people are on reserve duty. We had a difficult time, during the 7th of October, and I decided, that the focus for the first month was on the employees, not on the companies. I was more concerned about their welfare. And we still need to be aware of that. It's still there. Don't push too much pressure because, they're already under pressure from everything that goes around. You have to be aware of that and to take that into consideration. It's a big question. What's going to be next year, next couple of years? Stability, political stability, talent that's not going to be moving outside of the country. Investor appetite. Will the local VC, manage to raise funds for their own VCs and then pour it into the companies?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of questions.
You mentioned about Israeli companies reverse merging the US. This is a common trend I notice. Why do you think that is? Apart from obviously that Israel is a smaller market, but why do you think a lot of Israeli entrepreneurs are very interested moving to the US?
Well, first of all, I hear conflicting data about this subject. On one hand, you read that lots of people are doing it. This is the trend. On another hand, when you talk to the service provider, to the legal firms, to your lawyers, and to your accountants that are involved in the process, they tell you that many have considered that, but very few have done that lately. And it doesn't make much sense. Well, I think that you want to do that. You don't know what's going to be here in 2, 3, 4 years. And if the company is based, outside of Israel, you yourself as an entrepreneur, as a founders and future investors might have a bit more confidence and certainty. But still, you're going to have to move part of your team and build some of the company there. It's not just a legal aspect. If you don't move some of your team out there, then it's not relevant. It's not helpful.
And do you think this is something most Israeli companies should do, or, well, obviously there's no should or shouldn't in entrepreneurship. It's very case by case, but I was talking in the past with Alex, who is doing Deal, a company helping people employment globally, and it seems to me that he's very encouraging that people hire globally and make their company more global. Do you think for a company, any company, should they focus on a particular niche or try to be global, especially in the start?
Niche. It's always about niche. Yeah, focus in terms of product, in terms of marketing. I see that in both of my companies. In things, the IoT startup, I'm not sure that we've been focused enough on marketing. We're trying to go into different verticals because it's a generic platform to help everyone, every sensor, every device. Maybe the product is a good fit for everyone, and you don't need to make too many adjustments. But in terms of marketing and sales, when you have too many verticals, too many industries, too many markets, too many potential customers, you get too many events, too many leads, and you're not focused enough. And you need to bring in the first few deals. That's the most important, not have a big pipeline. You have to crack the first deals, the methodology of who is the ideal customers, how much are they willing to pay, what's your go-to-market, who's the decision maker there, all of that stuff in the first few deals before you're trying to reach out globally or to other verticals. And it was the same in ThinkUp. When you start helping to entrepreneurs, you have to focus on niche. Maybe you focus only at the beginning on a certain industry, just cyber, maybe just fintech, not trying to cater for everyone. A certain geography, maybe just Germany, maybe just Israel, maybe just Poland, maybe just Brazil, maybe just New York. You have to be very focused until you find, your market fit there or your process, your customer validation and your sell process. Validate also your go-to-market process.
And talking about that process, there is two, I think, method of doing that. And you may add on to this, I don't want to make a structure, but there is this organic way of building a startup just by friends of friends have this problem, let me build it, people like it goes on, it's like Facebook. Yeah. It's just organically developed. And there's also startups who are intentionally built. Let me research into a market, see what I can fix. What do you think? Is there anyone better than the other, or do you think one is more common than the other? What are your thoughts on these two different processes, intentional and organic?
I don't have the numbers. I think usually it's about, it's about organic. It's about people encountering a problem and then they want to fix it. More experienced founders that taking some time off and gathering some friends and teams to find the problem, that's less common. So it's usually maybe the more Facebook
approach.
I don't know if it's better. It's just, it's different.
Right. A lot of entrepreneurs begin their journey as students. I try to do now, and a lot of my listeners are. Do you think it is a good idea, or should students focus on their education, finish it fast, and then start something? A lot of people don't have the patience. They want to start something within university. At least that's what I'm doing right now. What are your thoughts on student entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. Start as soon as possible if it's your passion. I'm not a big fan, today regarding universities. Even though I've been there, I think if you're passionate, if you're a self-learner, you can learn anything, just log on, online to the Technion, to Stanford, to MIT, buy books, read books, get some courses online. The days of traditional university I don't know if they are over, but you don't have to. If you're an entrepreneur, you don't need anything. Just go at it and do it. Don't wait.
Talk about more what you don't like about current education system. A lot of entrepreneurs have very similar feelings about the education system. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, he's trying to build his own school, right? Yeah. A lot of entrepreneurs, why do you think that is, that people who want to build things don't fare very well in education systems?
Maybe it's the pace. Maybe it's about being dependent on someone else, some professor that is going to come next Wednesday and teach you about stuff that he learned 20 years ago. Maybe he doesn't believe in them. Today you've got everything, online. Knowledge is not hidden someplace, in that specific university, in that person. Knowledge today is much more common. My kids on TikTok probably know a lot of things that I don't know. So it's not like the old days. If the knowledge is out there, maybe you need some help in certain fields that you're not very good at, you didn't understand perfectly. But try to do it, in your own pace, maybe faster, maybe more tailored and personalized to you. There are lots of things that I learned in school, in the university, that I'm not using. I have no interest in them, but it was mandatory. So on some level, it's broadening your horizons. You know a bit more, but on some level, it's a waste of time.
What do you think about the future of education? We've seen a lot of companies not really requiring degrees for their employees, for example, especially in tech, where a lot of your knowledge and your experience, but also in sales and non-technical positions, actually, a lot of the things you're going to be doing on a daily basis is learned on the job. So what will universities look like in the future?
I don't know what role can they play 20 years from now. If I have a specific position or role that I want to work in, assuming AI is not going to take my place, maybe there's, a path in the online courses, the platforms that someone can tailor and customize, 5 or 10 courses for me within a period of 3-4 months. At the end, where I can be skilled, at least educated in that field, and that's it. Maybe that's the future. I've heard someone told me that he's doing that a few years ago, and I think, that's that makes sense. Maybe something, at the beginning, very short, very broad, just, because I don't know exactly what I want to learn, what I want to do. Maybe a little bit of this and that. But then once you want to be very specific, just personalize your own path. Why do 1,000 people, students in the Technion and the computer science faculty, need to study the same courses? All of them, everyone has his own path and interests and passion. Could be more personalized.
I agree. And talking also about education in relation to like intelligence and the traits that's required to build a company, there's a quote, and I want to hear your thoughts about it. And it relates also to philosophy and biology. The quote is, "Intelligence is not a winning survival trait." If you look into history of life, we have ants. They're not intelligent, are they? They're structured. They have systems. They have patterns that they do, and it's very interesting biology, but they're not like us. They don't think about insurance and mortgage today. So what do you think about entrepreneurs and a lot of them who are leaders? They're not, the top of their class usually. They're not deeply, and there are of course exceptions, like Elon Musk. He's also very smart, but a lot of people, it's their other qualities that really shine as a founder. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's it's not one size fits all. It's not just one cookbook. There are various traits. If you have the passion, the resilience, and if you have the perseverance, if you have the discipline, and you're willing to learn and hear and learn the methodologies on how to create a startup, that might be good as well. Each one has his own way of doing things.
What is your way of doing things? What brought you to where you are now?
I'm a combination of two different traits. One is visionary. I like big visions, big far visions, difficult visions that are vague. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I just like the big vision. And the other trait is I need everything to be very methodological, everything to be planned and organized. I want to know the roadmap 2-3 years from now. I want everything to be, weekly meetings, plans, rules. So I'm kind of, switching between the two roles. Looking far and big and then making everything planned.
I like that because Ben Alfie, he spoke the same thing about this. You got to be able to look far like a bird and then look down and really find the steps to get there. If you can only look far, it's a dream. But if you write it down, make a plan, set a goal, that's a path and you can achieve that. Exactly. So I think that's a balance that a lot of founders and leaders have to be able to have these two lenses. And switch back and forth.
I need some people to help you and complement. We can't be, very strong in both traits or in everything. So sometimes you're stronger in the visionary path, and other people are more into the day-to-day, in operation and being practical. You have to find your people that complement you.
And talking about looking far ahead, again, there's another quote which I love by Roger. He's an economist. In economics, things take longer to happen than you think they will, and they will happen faster than you thought they could. What do you think about that?
Sometimes, people or humanity imagine, envision things, and they don't happen as fast as we want. We still don't have spaceships and things like that, and teleportation. But sometimes, AI, for example, I don't think that people knew 2 years ago it's going to be that fast. So it's a mixture of things. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's longer.
Amazing. It really highlights how sometimes inaccurate our projections are.
Yeah.
So that's again relating to the importance of being able to look far.
In things, for example, my co-founder was a professor, a futurist. That's why I approached him to think about the trends and what should we do next. 6-7 years ago, he said that within everyone's going to be talking about the subject, IoT and then social IoT, but of connecting devices to one another. But it's not there yet. It's going to take maybe another 5-10 years. So even a professional professor is not right all the time. So obviously we're not going to get it right all the time.
Another quote: "A wise man profits more from his enemies than a fool from his friends."
Enemies. Well, maybe it's something that we like to tell ourselves, that everything is for the good. But I don't know. I like my friends better than my enemies. They say that your enemies are a tool for you by, God or the universe to learn and to develop and evolve. But maybe it's a lesson for you not to go to that path again. That's what I think.
Interesting. And lastly, before we close it down, the last quote: "The fear of failure versus the desire to win. Which one do you think is more instrumental in driving founders?"
Wow, maybe equally so. I find myself, thinking of both. You have the dreams of winning, and you don't want to be the loser. You don't want to shut down your company. Not gonna be on my watch, and I think it's equally important. An equal drive.
Equal drive.
Yeah.
Lastly, advice for aspiring entrepreneurs. Things you'd like to tell your younger selves, perhaps.
Yeah, well, ideally, when you establish a startup, I think ideally, you should have between 5 to 10 years of experience in the domain that you choose. Fintech, cyber, fashion, real estate. 5 to 10 years in the domain. You need to know the customers, the market, the pains, the competitors, and again, ideally, have 5 to 10 years of experience in creating startups, in managing, etc. Usually, no one has that. So first of all, try to get that expertise. Okay, when you start, maybe in your co-founder, maybe you have some startup experience, he could have the domain experience, maybe it's the other way around. You have some domain experience, he or she should have the startup, the managing experience. So that's number one. And number two, it relates to one of your quotes. It's gonna be longer and harder than you think. And get ready for something that is difficult. It's rewarding, it's fun, but it's very difficult, sometimes very depressing. And again, there are best practices, there are methodologies, there are experience from other people. Don't just go at it alone and think it's gonna be okay, everything is gonna be okay. Try to be prepared before you start. Learn before you start, before you get at it. It's gonna save you time and money later on, and pain.
Amazing. And for entrepreneurs who are listening, who are interested in perhaps learning more or joining ThinkUp, what do they need to do, and is there a requirement, and how do they get involved?
Right now in closed beta, and they can go surf to ThinkUp.global, sign in for early access, and we'll be happy to reach out in the next few weeks.
That's ThinkUp.global.
Exactly.
Amazing.
They can also reach out to me, Ohad at ThinkUp.global, or through LinkedIn. I'll be happy to join hands.
Ohad, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.
Same here. Thank you very much, Dio.